You know, there's a saying that I really like, and that's better late than never. We are 19 minutes late on ELF Live today, episode 4, going into season 5 of the ELF. About 44 days away. Sorry for the slight delay. I am your co host, Nick Alfieri. I am here with my lovely co host, Matt Bressington, out of the United Kingdom, with some new glasses, Matt, if I
Yeah,
might add.
yeah. I'm going up to Wales tomorrow, see a special someone. So I thought I had to upgrade the look a little bit, go for a more classy, educated businessman kind of style.
Very, very good upgrade there. You look even smarter than you have already proven yourself to be. We've got a great show for you guys. It's going to be a little bit shorter, a little bit tighter because of the delay. Hello to everybody in the chat. Like we've said previously, all of the platforms are interconnected. We see all of your chats. You guys, welcome. ELFpedia, Aiden Stephenson, Michael Klein, all of you guys. So we got a great show. Starting off in just a few minutes, we've got an interview with Louis Achaintre from the Frankfurt Galaxy, linebacker, longtime linebacker. And of course, we have our As Seen on Social segment, Matt, where I was kind of humiliated and embarrassed by a couple of things that went on social media, especially on April Fools. We'll talk about that. Then, of course, the signing center. Interesting stuff going on, especially with some defensive linemen, the Stuttgart Surge. And then a new segment that Matt and I have prepared, and we want you guys to participate in. What's more likely to? So Matt and I have both privately prepared a couple of different scenarios that may or may not happen in the ELF this year, and we are going to quiz each other on them and you guys in the chat. And then finally, we're going to be talking about a team that has been quite impressive in the past, made it all the way to the playoffs last year, but they are looking brand new. There's a lot of turnover, and we've got some questions. And Matt, we're going to dive in deep with that team at the end of the show. You ready to go, Matt?
I'm ready to go. I'm always ready to go.
There we
Short
go.
notice, don't matter. I'm already here.
Hey, there we go. So without further ado, let's bring on our special guest, Louis Achaintre of the Frankfurt Galaxy.
Girl, nice.
Yes, sir. Hello.
Louis, welcome, brother. We were having some
Thank you.
technical difficulties earlier, but we are very happy to have you on the show here
Thank
today.
you.
And anybody, if you've got questions in the chat, feel free to put them in. Louis, my first question is for you guys is a little bit general question about the Frankfurt Galaxy. Last season was a bit of a disappointment of you guys going 4-8. This is a franchise that has won an ELF championship and has had pretty high expectations. Can you talk to me a little bit about last year? What kind of didn't work? What went wrong? And can you guys learn anything from that?
Of course. I mean, like you said, Galaxy won the first ELF championship. So every year we have high expectation. We are always trying to get to the best. And I mean, it's hard to say what was wrong exactly. We had good roster. We have good everything like organization. As organization, Galaxy is still good, but sometimes it's just like that. Even when you have everything, it's hard to connect everything together. And I think this was the main issue we had. We kind of were sometimes missing the willing to do better or make like the team dominate the other team or something. And I think this was the main problem. Just connect all the guys. Like you could tell, we had a great rosters, but probably hard to connect all together. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the crazy things about football is like you can have such talent on your roster, but you have to get that connection and that team chemistry, which is hard to do, of course, when you have a quarterback change in the middle of the season. Obviously, you guys going from Luke to Matthew McKay, I think right in the middle of the season. That's tough with such a prominent position. But can you talk to me a little bit about Matthew McKay? Because Matt, you and I have talked about, we've both been pretty impressed with McKay at times, maybe a little bit streaky in his first few games, but he's shown a lot of talent. How is he?
So this is the thing. He arrived middle of the season last year, so obviously it's very hard. He had a lot of pressure. We had to play the big games, run fire and stuff. So for him was like the same time he has to get involved into playing European football and also just perform. So I think he did pretty good also from where he had to start, and he showed how athletic he can be, and he throws some good passes. And I think now we are building the team around him kind of, and this is what a quarterback need, right? So we bring back the guys that have a good bonding with him in offense. We also, like you guys could see, we also build a great O-line for him to give him like all the time he needs, all the block he needs. So I think now he will be able to be like the athlete he is, so run the ball or throw the ball or make the defense has to defend on him, and then we can get some good things out of this.
Yeah, absolutely. Matt, go ahead. You got a question?
Yeah, so you've been in the league since the very beginning. You had 21, you were in Berlin, and you went to Frankfurt, and you've been there ever since. You've played with some of the best players that we've ever seen in the ELF. I just want to know your top 3 to 5 players. You can go any position that you like, but just who are the best players you've ever been able to witness in the ELF? And I'll put you on the spot because I know you'll be friends with a lot of them, and they'll be annoyed that you left them out.
A lot of pressure here.
I have to go with Jay Liggins. On the first year he came to Galaxy, he was just, you couldn't say nothing about him. He was just impressive. He shut down everyone, American, European, every receiver, everything. This was very impressive. And he was also doing it with a lot of, he was very nonchalant, He looked like it was just normal for him, but he was, this was impressive. Then I need to give some time to Matt, like I said, Matthew, because he needs to do better. But I would say probably Jacob was very good. He was Jacob Sullivan. He was also able to make the defense from the other team go crazy, because it's at some point he will get the best out of you. He will either throw or run or make something. And I think he's one of them. And for the third one, I would probably pick someone from the first year in Berlin. We had, and now this is hard to choose, but we had, back in the days, we had Stretch, so Chantavius Jones as a receiver, and we had Joe Crawford as a running back. And I have to say they were both very impressive. I mean, big athletes. Chantavius was fucking tall, he could catch everything, and Jock makes us like dance in practice, they were both impressive. So I would say I cannot pick 3. I said 4. I could say 5, 6, but yeah. This would be my answer.
Phenomenal.
There we go. And from the chat, from our man, Marcus Kintz, he said, linebackers, both past and present, are the best people. And hey, Louis, I'm a fellow former linebacker as well, inside linebacker. So we love when we get linebackers on the show. My question to you is actually about the linebackers in the ELF. The league has less and less American linebackers. More of this position is being dominated by European players. And actually this year we have basically only one true American inside linebacker with AJ, because the other guys that have been signed are more of edges. What is your opinion on this, on less and less teams going with the American linebacker and being able to fill that role, which is now so dominated by Europeans like yourself?
I think there is multiple reasons for that. The first one is, since you have American and quarterback and receiver, you might need a DB to cover one of them and to be able to match against the quarterback, also throwing the ball, right?
Mm-hmm.
Probably also you would need, maybe sometimes if you don't have 2 DBs, you would probably need a good D-line. So if the D-line can put a lot of pressure, then you're also helping the DBs. And then the linebacker, I should probably not say that, but I think when you have great D-line and great DBs, the job is a little bit easier, especially with the D-line. Maybe I'm not going to say the job is going to be easier. I'm just saying we have European guys that are good enough to make it. And I think this is the biggest reason why it's going like this. It's just because we have a lot of good European linebacker, actually, and more. And I think this is the reason why you can say I will do without. I mean, AJ Wentland and Dawson were great, I mean, they are great. AJ is still here, but I think at some point you can find a way to replace, because American spot is expensive,
Right. No, I like what you said right there, because I think it does speak to the talent level of European linebackers, Europeans being able to kind of really dominate at that position. And we're seeing that. And I've seen that in my time here in covering the ELF and just being around European football. We're seeing more and more of that. Matt, you got another question?
Absolutely. So you're playing in the West. You've got Paris, which I'm sure will be an interesting game for you as a French player. And then you've also got Stuttgart and Cologne. In terms of how you see those teams going in, who do you think is going to give you the biggest challenge in the West?
I don't want to take any team for, I don't want to say I think this team or this team will be easier. But if I have to pick, I think Stuttgart. I mean, they already went twice to final. They are building through this every year. They're trying to do better, and they are doing better. And I think they will be the team that gives us the most trouble. Yeah.
Hey, I like that.
Cologne will not. I'm not saying Paris will not. I'm just saying.
He has some very angry French fans.
I like that answer. Last question for me, Louis, is Coach Andrus is probably bringing a new life and a new energy to the Frankfurt Galaxy with all of his experience, both in the States and previously in Europe. Can you talk a little bit about him and what he means to the organization of you guys trying to really turn it around from last year?
So basically, you have to say the biggest change, as you would see from the outside, is that we bring, of course, bartenders, and we bring 2 other full-time coaches. So most of them have a lot of experience. They coached in every league in the world or like in the US and everything. So I think this is the first change. And then the second change is, if you see it, as Galaxy has been doing this kind of the same way forever. So also for the guys, it's like a big change, and then you have to accept it or not. And I think with Bart Andrews, we are on the right way to make this change, because it's easier to follow him. He has this way to talk and to say things, and right now he's really chill. He's just explaining, and then I think this is like going to help us a lot to just follow what he say. And like you said, the guys gets new energy, and they are buying into it, and they are happy to try something.
We've got a little bit of shit talking coming from the chat from one of our esteemed colleagues, Alex Malchow, who says Galaxy ain't doing nothing.
Oof.
What do you have to say about this?
I let him talk. We're talking on the field. What should I say? I mean, we're gonna get ready. We're gonna go out there, and then we're just gonna show out people what Galaxy is going to do. And
there we go. There we go. And welcome to the chat, Malchow. Euroball Chow. All right, Louis, thank you so much for joining us on the show, man. Really appreciate you coming on here. Excited to watch what you guys do this year in Frankfurt, man.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. Have a good day.
See you.
See you.
I love my linebackers, Matt.
You do. You do.
I love my linebacker. What do you think? What do you think about Malchow's comment right there?
I don't know, man. Like, the defense has been heating up. Like, we talked about Shannon, like how good he is, and then no, man. I think gradually they've been adding a little bit to that defense over the last couple of weeks.
Well, the problem with Alex Malchow is he only has room enough in his heart for one purple team, and that is the Vienna Vikings and Ben Holmes. If the Galaxy were perhaps a different color, he wouldn't feel so strongly this way, but he's only got room for one. All right, let's move on to our next segment, as seen on social. And look at that graphic right there. It's a beautiful graphic. All right. Like we said, guys, if you ever see anything on social media that you want us to talk about on here on As Seen on Social, feel free to comment #ELF live on those posts. All right, let's bring up the first one here. And this is from the April Fools. Okay, this one got me. This legit got me. I commented on this of Mark signing with the Munich Ravens. I DM'd him, sick, bro. Congrats. He had to say, hey, man, it is April Fools. Okay, so sad. You got me right there that I'm trusting in humanity. Matt, what do you think of these April Fools posts?
See, I liked it. I know some people got annoyed, but I was like, it's April Fool's Day tomorrow. I'm going to put my phone on Do Not Disturb because I know every single team and every person's going to be making something up. So anyone told me on April Fool's, I was like, no.
Protect yourself. Let's throw up another one for us, Lucas.
Yeah, I know Marcus got done by one. I know it exposed him a little bit, but I know he sent me the Odell Beckham one, and he was like, what?
Oh, Marcus, you got exposed just like me. This one, obviously, Tom Brady going to be an owner of the Raiders T-roll. He's going with the Las Vegas Raiders and the Raiders T-roll right here. This is probably the most unbelievable one, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's got anybody.
I like the Panthers one. There it is. The kittens. I thought it was kind of cute. I think alternative merch. I want one. I really want one.
Alternative merch is something that some teams should do. Okay, what else do we got? Throw up the next one.
There we go. We're
Oh.
moving into the next part about
That's not
rivalry.
April Fools right there. This is still on As Seen on Social. So all of the players arriving. Riley Hennessy right here. I know that Stuttgart Airport. Riley's got the same glasses as you. It looks like, man. Look at you
Two
guys.
stylish young men, I reckon. I like it. You know, obviously Ryan's got great taste.
Yeah, there we go. There's something really special about this time when these players, the imports, are arriving at the airport. Like I remember this coming back to Europe every year for 7 years, and it's such an exciting time when these players get back and you can start getting into everything. Practice starts officially with everybody on Monday, and so we've got these guys arriving here. Who we got here, Matt? A fellow Brit?
That was Harry Sayer and Roland. Shout out the Brits. And then we got Reese Horn as well. There we go. Hamburg Sea Devils. They've invested a lot in the British talents. That's good. Reese Horn, one of the league's, if not the best receiver in the league. Phenomenal receiver.
That's an interesting, Matt. That's an interesting conversation that we're going to need to have. Is best receiver in the league? Like who's in that conversation? So there we have it. Quick little As Seen on Social. You guys make sure you tag, comment things. Oh, we do have one more actually here. We've got Kyle Kitchens, and we don't have the audio here, but this is Kyle talking about being excited to play his former team, the Berlin Thunder. Now, Matt, you remember I did an interview with Kyle maybe a month, 6 weeks ago, and we were talking about this. And, you know, I won't say that there was animosity between him and Berlin, but he did say, yeah, we had kind of problems with ownership here, and it was just best for me to get out of there. So I feel like Kyle is very, very excited to play his former team. What do you think is going to happen when they play?
I think he's going to dominate. I love Kyle. Kyle's one of the best players to ever have played in Europe. He's phenomenal. From a D2 background as well, he's done an amazing job. 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. I don't see anyone on Berlin that can give him any issues. That sounds like I'm being a bit harsh in the line, but this is Kyle Kitchens. This isn't some other no name. This is Kyle Kitchens. So I think he's going to have a big game. I think that it comes an extra personal when it's against your former team.
Oh yeah, I think he's going to have just a twinge extra of motivation in that game. And then we've got one more on the signings or on the As Seen on Social from the Viking. A little bit of magic here. A little bit of magic from the Vienna Vikings in signing their second American DB, Amani Dennis. And this is a nice little video right here. I think the music got copyrighted. It was some sort of popular music, but shout out to Coach Kalaikai, who puts on a pretty solid acting performance in this right here. I love seeing these type of like really creative videos from the teams.
Yeah, I love it. And as a I'll play a little bit of poker. I'm not going to say I'm James Bond playing poker in Casino Royale, but I like to feel like I'm decent. So maybe we can have an ELF poker tournament would be fun. Now I just want to say.
Speaking of James Bond, it is now an American property, Matt. We stole it from you Brits. It's owned by Amazon, Jeff Bezos. Sorry about that. Hopefully we don't ruin it. Yeah. All right. We got some stuff in the chat from TLW99. What do you say about Pablo Albert Wiesentrauch to the Surge? We actually talked about him last time, but this also brings us into our next segment, the signing center. All right. Matt, we're just talking about Amani Dennis, the second American DB for the Vienna Vikings. This is a squad that really wants to shore up their defensive backfield after everything that went on in the championship game against them with the Ryan Fire. Talk to me about Dennis here.
Love this signing. I know I've said that about basically every signing so far in Science Center, but I really do like this one. It's USFL. He's got CFL experience. He's just come from Toronto. And Philadelphia Stars sending another player our way towards Europe. They love sending him over, but he's hyper aggressive. I know I say that a lot as well with these DBs, but it seems like us in Europe, we like these DBs that go after the ball, and he is certainly that. He has return ability as well. He's also aggressive on special teams, so expect to see him. Maybe I'm just going to throw an early one in there in the Special Teams Player of the Year award if you can get a few blocks or a few kicks. Nick's just gone black, so I'll carry on going while I'm at here. But I like Dennis a lot. I think that he adds a lot of aggressive nature and a great ball playing ability to that second slot for them at the cornerback, or maybe even safety, might dabble in both. Do we have the second one for Chris Valumbo? Well, carry on, Maxie, if we got that one up. Oh, don't worry, we're all good.
Hey, Matt, sorry. You were doing such a good job with the signing center. I felt like I'd just take a break.
That's fair enough.
I'm back. Do we move on there to Chris Valumbo with the Paris?
Yeah, you've missed. You're going to have to rewatch the relive, which you can watch obviously on YouTube and watch wherever you want. But Chris Valumbo, very powerful runner, came in after a couple seasons where he didn't do a crazy amount of production. running backs get injured, he jumps in, which is a good metaphor because he hurdles everyone that he can. And he has a really good season towards the end of the year. Had over just a shade under 500 yards. Great bag of moves, very physical. Kind of like a Glenn Tonga-esque running style. You can see him there, putting on spins, stiff arms, hurdles, anything you need. Chris has got. I like the sign a lot.
You think about his speed. I mean, he does have like that kind of Glenn Tunga bag of moves, but I don't. His speed doesn't blow me away.
Yeah, I don't think he's running a 4.5 anytime soon, but I think that he has enough speed to get you 4-5 yards consistently, but I don't think he has the break through the secondary and tertiary lines to get through like 50-60 yards. But you never know. He might be working on the offseason. He's an explosive athlete.
But this is the thing. We're not really asking running backs to do that, especially in today's day and age. Like, we don't need running backs to be bursting off 60-yard. We don't want tiny little running backs bursting off 60-yard runs. We don't need that. So just get us that solid 8 yards, which is what Chris Wimbo does. All right, moving. So we're staying in the Western Conference, okay? The Surge are putting together a pretty dominant defensive line. So obviously we talked about their offensive line a few weeks ago on the show. Incredibly deep. Then now on the defensive line, we're going to be having the same conversation. They have plucked Bernd Grube and Robert Lachman from the Raiders T-roll and have also re-signed Chris Malumba. And the thing about Lachman and Grube is they have played together for multiple seasons, Matt, as we have talked about, and they will reunite once again with the Stuttgart Surge. What do you think about what the Surge are putting together here in the trenches?
I absolutely love it. I think it could rival one of the best defensive lines in ELF history, which would be Hamburg 22 or 23. You can kind of take your pick because, funnily enough, Robert and Bernard actually both played in those teams. So it's a very good overlap. Robert is just such an explosive athlete. He has great strength. Injuries have been a concern, but he's a great run defender and a great pass rusher. Did a whole evaluation video about him. Grube is very similar, very great off the edge, can really affect absolutely everything. And then Chris, if you're just looking at stats, you might not have seen how fantastic Chris was. He is a former Division I athlete with Colorado. He was in the CFL for a period of time, and he is one of the best defensive tackles that we have in Europe. I love Chris Malumba. I'm so happy they've invested in that interior defensive line. I think this could be, you add in the depth they have, it's too much. I love all these guys that go on for years, me. But this could be one of the best defensive lines, if not the best defensive line in ELF history.
It's crazy to say that, Matt, because we were also talking about their offensive line possibly being the best in the league. And so the Surge are really, really building up those trenches. And there's a lot of continuity on the offensive line and bringing in these new guys. I mean, I watched all these guys from the sideline at the Surge Stadium this past year. And just there's some moments where Chris just absolutely takes over the game. And then when the Raiders actually beat the Surge, kind of upset them at home, this was a crazy game. Both Lachman and Grube were making a huge difference there. And Coach Jordan Newman and that staff is like, all right, we're going to grab them for us. And they've done it. All right, last one in the signing center. The Bavarian boys, Munich Ravens, have signed OLB Dexter Fitzpatrick. Now, Matt, I got very, very excited about this, right? Because I love American linebackers anytime I see this. But you telling me he's more of an edge. You say he can play ILB, but he's more of an edge. What do you think of this signing?
Yeah, I think he's a bit of an in-between kind of player. You play him at edge, you can play him outside linebacker, you can play him at inside linebacker, but he is rushing the passer a hell of a lot more than he is in coverage. But not to say that he can't, because sometimes you see him sit in these zones and he has that burst to close ability to close distance between running backs and receivers that is truly elite. Honestly, he has an amazing burst, which is absolutely outstanding. He's a good pass rusher. He doesn't have the most length in his frame, so you're not going to see him long arm and tackles into these crazy bend situations. But I think that he can offer a lot. And being an in-betweener is not a bad or derogatory thing. You can play outside linebacker, you can play inside linebacker, you can play off the edge, you can be blitzing, you can be in coverage. This is a great weapon to have for that defense. Munich, historically, have been invested in American linebackers. They've done it the last couple of years with people like Amani Black. So we'll see how this one goes for them, but I think it could be an interesting piece.
Yeah, let's see what Coach Kendrell Ellison is dialing up down there. I mean, we're going to talk a little bit more about Munich in our final segments because their offense is looking a lot different. If you have any comparison to somebody that we've seen, or do you, not to put you on the spot, Matt, but does Fitzpatrick possibly remind you of anybody? Is there a comp in the ELF?
I think I would probably, off the top of my head, go for someone like Sasan Jalvali, who you'll know from the Stuttgart Surge. He has the ability to play around the linebacker position. He can also rush the passer, can be a blitz player. I think that Sasan has a little bit more length, whereas Dexter is a little bit more explosive. So it's not a direct comparison, but it's a similarity for sure.
Sasan is such a unique player. He can do just a little bit of everything, and he's really fun to watch. So we'll see how that shapes up for the Ravens. So technically, we have another American linebacker in the ELF, which is very nice for my linebacker heart. But he's not a true ILB. I would like to see him take some snaps there. All right, that is our signing center. Now let's move on to a new segment, Matt, that I'm a little bit nervous for. That you and I have each prepared. It's almost like homework. Prepared a couple. What's more likely to now? Chat, you guys got to participate in this. Lucas and Maxie, I cannot see the chat, by the way, so not sure. There we okay. There we go. If we can bring that up, just in case the guys in the chat want to participate. All right, Matt. We have both prepared two. What's more likely to happen? Okay, and everybody in the chat, you participate as well. Matt, you go first. We'll go back and forth. One each. Hit
All right,
me
my
with
first
one.
one. What is more likely to happen, Mr. Nick Alfieri? 1,000-yard rusher in every single division, or Surge take their division?
Okay, 1,000-yard rusher in every single division. That's
if you want, I have the divisions. I can redo out some of the teams. You can think about the running backs.
That's four 1,000-yard rushers. I don't think that we've ever had that, actually. I think that the most we've had is three. Must have been three. It was last year. We had Glenn, Brzozowski,
Carey.
Yeah. Okay. So we had three.
You added Sandro's fit as well, but then Surge have got Paris as a harder conference they've ever had.
That's really
tough.
So if I'm looking at this, it's possible in the West, Tamawa, behind that offensive line with the Surge, possible 1,000-yard rusher. He's done it before, and I would say that if he stays healthy, there's a good chance there. Glenn, obviously, I think he's done it twice. It is a new offensive line. It is a new team, but Glenn could be possible out of the North. Brzozowski or Kari have proven it previously in the South Division.
Yeah.
So they could, but who would come out of the
South? You got Nico Barro from Madrid. You could add Benatti or Halstavanta, depending on who.
See, the thing that bothers me about the Raiders is I think they're more of a running back by committee. I think that they could be having 2 guys, 3 guys in that 500 to 800 yard.
Yeah.
No, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna go Surge take their conference. Which I'm not just saying that as a Surge homer, because I think that this conference or division is going to be very, very competitive with Paris. I just don't think that we're going to get 4 of those 1,000-yard rushers.
I agree.
Give me Surge. What do you think, Matt?
I like it. I think I'm going to go for the right rushes because I think Paris can take the division. I think we discussed this before, but I like the idea of having just an elite running back in each division.
I know. I love that a lot. So from the chat, Just Shot says, if the Surge will borrow one of their 100 running backs, that might happen, but my bets are on Surge. Marcus says Surge winning for sure. Lara Calypso says Surge winning for sure. All right. So that's the first one. I like that one, Matt. That's good. It made me think. Yeah. All right. Let me hit you with this. What is more likely to, Matt and everybody in the chat? Pressure's on. What's more likely to happen? The Nordic Storm miss the playoffs, or the Munich Ravens make the playoffs?
So Nordic Storm, they got Ryan, they got Hamburg, they got Berlin, and then you got the South, which is Helvetic, which aren't going to be very good. And Madrid, Munich, and Raiders. This one's a bit of a dinker, but I do say I'm immediately, as soon as you finish your sentence, I'm thinking Nordic could probably make playoffs. They could definitely compete for the division. They got 2 MVPs, right? Whereas no one else can make that claim. So I'm gonna go with Nordic Storm making the playoffs. Yeah,
Nordic Storm making the playoffs in their first year, which we have seen done before with the Madrid Bravos making the playoffs in their first year, and we've also seen the Munich Ravens in their first year get close when they had Coach Shoop. Ricardo Oliveira says Nordic missing. Okay, I mean, I don't think I think that there is a possibility that we might be putting a little bit too much pressure on Nordic. It is a new team, despite having 2 back-to-back MVPs and champions and these winners. Still is a new team, but we've seen new teams have success right off the back. So much ELF experience, and they're also with Coach Shoop. It's a tough one. I would say more likely that Nordic make the playoffs than the Ravens.
I like it. I'm with you. All right, my second one for you,
Okay.
Nick, is will we have a team be first in points scored and first in the least amount of points allowed, which was the 2022 Hamburg season,
Okay.
or will Nordic become the first team to ever win a championship in a year of creation?
See, this is tough. All right, so we have two kind of low probability things here because this has only happened once before in ELF history, in our 4-year history, that a team has been first in points allowed and points scored.
Yes.
We've also never had a team win the championship in their first year. We've had one team make the playoffs in their first year. I do think we have to think about the Nordic Storm in a little bit of a different light as we have previous first-year organizations because of all that experience that they've got. To win the championship, man, that is a different story, especially when we look at some of the continuity of some other teams. Also, again, not to be a Surge homer, but weren't the Surge last year first or up there, top 3 in scoring and top 2 or 3 in points allowed? So I think that they were kind of close last year, the Surge were.
Yeah.
And this team has incredible continuity. It's a lot of those same players plus a little bit extra. I would go more likely that the Surge, this would be the team that I would say does it, leads in both those categories. Then the Nordic Storm wins the championship. I do think that the Storm will make the playoffs, but I'm not sure about championships. What do you think?
I like it. Just to confirm, Surge were number 1 in points scored, but points allowed, they were 3rd.
My recall is solid for a man in his 30s.
Very well, and a linebacker.
and a former linebacker. Took a lot of hits to the head. All right, Matt, I got one more for you. Okay. What's more likely to happen? A first-year quarterback to become an all-star, or the Raiders to finally beat the Vikings in the European League of Football?
That's such a good question.
Is it going, huh?
That was really nice. Okay, let me have a think. So a first-year quarterback. First, immediately, I'm thinking of Reed Sinet out in Madrid.
Out of Madrid.
It could be an all-star.
Okay.
You've also got one of the best, if not the best, offensive coordinator in that team. And then you've got, let me think of any other new guys that could be all-stars, because Hamburg have a new quarterback who I do quite like, but then a lot of other new ones. Brock Doman, I don't think he's going to be able to produce an all-star level season in Ravnes, and with DJ and the Rochelle Panthers, not sure if he has the tools in terms of like an overall team to create an all-star campaign. We got Jalen Henderson as well. See, that's what I'm thinking. Jalen and Reed. And then when it comes to the Raiders, I can't imagine them beating Vienna. I think Vienna have too much. I think Raiders have enough. I think they. Is it rude to call them a little brother? It might be a little bit rude to call them a little brother, but I think they kind of are. Even though they'd never beat them, they've got close, but they never beat them. And then Ben Holmes is looking on fire. I'm going to go with a first-year quarterback being an all-star. I'm also going to make a call between the two of them. I think it's going to be Reed Sinet.
Reed Sinet. Okay, or Jalen Henderson mentioned out of Paris. From the chat, Ricardo Oliveira says, the Raiders beating the Vikings. Unbiased opinion, of course. And then I just missed some of these from Matthew Hawking. He says, talking about the Nordics question earlier, depends on how Clark and Tunga does in their new surrounding at the Storm. Marcus says first-year quarterback. And so I think, the ones that you mentioned are probably in that conversation. I think not to put too much pressure on a first-year guy, but in my opinion, Jalen Henderson has a lot of expectations and well-deserved because of what he's done. And also, the coaching stuff that they got there, the fact that Paris has a good infrastructure. They made it to the semifinals last year. So, all right, going with that first-year quarterback to be an ELF All-Star. Don't forget, though, pretty damn hard. There's 2 slots, 2 quarterback All-Stars. I remember some guys last year that were in the conversation that were left out because it's just so competitive, man.
Yeah, it is. Also, I want to address people in the comment section saying that my calls are not correct. Vikings made championship the first year. That was already a team in the AFL. And
There you
then
go.
Galaxy making their first championship. That was already a team in the old NFL Europe. So 8 years of creation. Don't ever doubt my picks ever again.
Don't you ever question the knowledge that Matt Bressington has in that head. Look at those glasses. Does this look like a guy that doesn't know what he's talking about?
Exactly.
Come
Thank
on.
you.
Also, how are you even seeing the chat? I can't see the chat.
I've just got it on the side. I'm not sure about you, but also to see through the lies that people were trying to spread about my predictions.
There we go. I heard Nick will do the next segment in a British accent. Oh, from our producer Maxie. You heard my British accent a little earlier. No, I'm doing it live on air. I'm gonna get canceled for appropriating the British accent. New segment. Okay, let's move on to our final segments, and that is talking about the Munich Ravens. We were talking about first-year quarterbacks, Matt, and the Munich Ravens also have a first-year quarterback, a young one at that,
Yes.
also signed to a long-term contract. Now, like we mentioned a little bit earlier in the show, Munich Ravens have made it to the playoffs last year. They gave the Paris Musketeers, a semifinalist, a great run on the road, only losing by 3. It was a very good game. But this team, specifically on offense, looks a lot different, and a lot of big names have left this organization. We're talking about there's a lot of uncertainty with the Ravens. Talk to me about this squad, Matt.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. I'm going to speak very fast
There
because
we
I've got a lot to talk about in a limited amount of time. So you think about Munich, you think about all the players they have, they're all gone. Chad Jeffries is gone. Marlon Worthman is gone. You've lost Tomiwa. You've lost Markel Castle. You've lost Joe Thomas. Like all these, you might lose Yanda if he goes to the NFL IPP and goes to the NFL. Hopefully he does. That's a lot to lose. They have done a good job of replacing some of them. You get up some of the import lists. We had the first graphic, if you wouldn't mind putting that one up. Producers, there we go. So we got Zurich Ball, one of the best German rushes. You got Marvin Rouge, one of the best German receivers. Going to help the young quarterback a lot. We talked about Dexter. Russell is going to have less weapons because they have to invest more on the offensive line, which, if we wouldn't mind getting that graphic up as well, we have 3 Brits. We got CK,
There we go.
who I've scouted since he was in high school, one of the best offensive tackles in Ohio when he was there. He went to high school in the States, but started playing as a Brit. And then he went D1, has just come back to the ELF. You got Harry Sayre, hyper-aggressive right tackle, played for Berlin and Milan. And then you got Daniel Bisalami, who I'm sure I've said that massively incorrectly, but me and Daniel are cool. Daniel has claimed to me, Nick, I don't want to put him on blast here. He has claimed to me that he can potentially match that 38 reps on bench press. And he can. I've seen clips of him doing like 195 on the bench. So maybe he goes up to those 200, two bucks on the bench is crazy, by the way. So there's a lot that you have to take into. They've lost Lames. They've tried to put in some young athletic talent. And we'll see if that pays off.
There we go. That is a bold claim. Speaking of bench press, Matt, word on the street is that you and I will be participating in a bench press competition next weekend at the FIBO Football Festival in Cologne. Maybe.
Hell no.
Maybe. Make sure you hit the gym this week, Matt. Take your creatine.
You'd kill me.
Maybe back in my youth. I'm a different man now. I'm no longer a linebacker. I am a broadcaster and a host. Okay, we'd probably be in the same boat. Just Shots from the chat says, do you think there still might be a chance to get back Markel? Still can't believe he won't be part of the ELF in 2025. That's interesting. I also can't believe that he wouldn't be signed to an ELF team, what he's done in this league. Matt, hearing any whispers, what do you think, Markel Castle?
I'd love to see him back in there. I think it just makes sense that he would go back. They do have an A receiver open. I think I'm not hearing any whispers. No, I'm not hearing any whispers of him going to any certain places. But I think the whole of the ELF would rejoice in seeing him back in Munich.
Give me Castle and give me Malik Stanley back in this league. We were talking earlier about Reese Horn. It's like the receiver talent that we've seen. I would love to have these guys back in the league and have a fiery competition for somebody to become the leading receiver or Triple Crown winner. Well, okay, Matt, I have a question specifically about quarterback. Okay. First year quarterback, Russell Tabor, young, played in the Spanish league. This is going to be his first time in the ELF. He does have 1 year of European experience down there, but it's different. And this is very unique, signing him to a long-term contract. What is your opinion on Russell Tabor at quarterback?
So he's a young quarterback. He has a lot of upside, but you also got to think who's in that Munich area. You got Sean Shelton, an MVP of the league at quarterback with the Raiders. He's going to probably be overseeing the development. Here's my breakdown on Russell in like a minute or less. So he has a big arm. He is very mobile in the pocket, but he does not use that to create running lanes like an Isaiah Weed. He's going to use his mobility to stay in the pocket and deliver dimes. He has a big cannon of a right arm. He can throw that thing 50, 60, 70 yards if he needs to. However, so his mechanics not perfect. He's going to be thrown off his back foot. Gets a little bit inconsistency with that. Release maybe not the most defined because he has not played a ton of football. You mentioned he played 1 season in Spain with also Rivas. But he also played in North Carolina, but wasn't on the field a whole ton. He then played in high school in the Georgia area, Carolina area. But that's not a ton of experience over the last couple of seasons. So I think maybe might take my wild gaze game sharpness all the way in. But I do think there's a lot of upside. And they got him on a 3-year potential deal. So that would be exciting to see how he would develop through that 3 years.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm very curious to see how he develops and if they really are sticking to this long-term plan here. If it starts off slow, if they stick with this and work on trying to, develop him and just be like, hey, this is our guy, which would be really cool to see in the ELF is teams being like, okay, hey, we're kind of rebuilding this year, or we're trying to build up to something and we're thinking 2-3 years out. It would be interesting to see some of these. And we know Sean Shelton, very smart guy. He knows quarterback. He knows football, and specifically football in Europe and what works. So some optimism there, I would say, but also some uncertainty. So Munich Ravens, and there we have it. That is our show. We had a little bit of technical difficulties at the start. Sorry that we were a little bit late and kind of had to go a bit faster today, but hey, it's always great when we can talk ELF football. And you guys, please do not forget to like and subscribe wherever you are watching this on. I know it sounds silly to ask, but it actually helps us. It spreads ELF's content out a little bit more so more people can see it and get exposed to this great league. Matt, we're 44 days away, brother.
Oh, I'm excited. I want to see you on the weekend anyway. So we can talk a ton of different stuff about that then.
We're ready for our bench press contest next week. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.